people on a reoccurring basis, just
Mhm.
like this is. We got duplex, not simplex, but it's great to be able to talk to people.
Right.
Cool. What is a Turtle Beach mic? I'm lost.
Turtle Beach. That's usually it's for gaming.
Okay.
Um, Xbox, PC. They have different types of headsets for that way you can hear better in games and stuff. Has a microphone and all that.
Okay, cool. I get it. Okay. So
So
what's
you
up
see
with you
the.
today? What's up?
I was going to tell you about this background here. This is actually. I don't think I took this picture, but I've been up this place a few times. It's in Wyoming, which is where I live. It's called
Uh-huh.
Lost Twin Lakes. It's like maybe a 3 to 4 hour hike each way. And
Wow.
this rock here, see right here, this one, I
Yeah.
believe, if I remember right, it's like 1,000 foot cliff there. So it doesn't look as big, in the picture, but it's crazy up there. Lost Twins, Wyoming.
I just Googled it,
Okay. Yeah, let's
and
check your
I can
page here.
definitely see that. Wow, that's absolutely beautiful.
Oh, it is. It's one of the most beautiful places I think I've ever seen. I think I've been
Now,
up there 3 or 4 times.
if you've ever had a chance, have you ever been to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho?
I have not.
Okay, so Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and right near Coeur d'Alene, I spell that Courdelene, something like Coeur d'Alene.
Hmm.
Coeur d'Alene, Idaho has, I want to say, two of the deepest freshwater lakes in North America.
Okay.
And in
Coeur d'Alene.
one, not at Coeur d'Alene, but next to it, the U.S. Navy actually does some sub training. It's so deep.
You said like submarine
Yeah,
in the lake?
yeah.
Wow. Must be.
I
I'm
mean,
looking at a map here. It looks like it's a pretty good sized lake.
yeah, it is beautiful. Don't go in the wintertime if you don't like cold. But you go in the late spring, early summer. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I've been around the world, and that rivaled some things I've seen in the Alps and Switzerland and Austria and places like that in Italy and
Hmm.
France. I've been to the tallest mountain in Europe. I skied on the base of it, and
Really? What was that
yeah,
one?
Mount Blanc in France.
Hmm.
But I just say that I've been there and seen that. It's like wow. But Coeur d'Alene was really not cheap. It's got
Is
some
it pretty
touristy
touristy,
issues.
Coeur d'Alene?
Coeur d'Alene, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, beautiful, 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 beautiful,
I
beautiful,
think it's
beautiful.
like maybe 8 hours from here or so, maybe a little farther. Let me look.
Probably, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
About 10 hours from me.
okay. I missed something here. All right, I'm gonna put this up. Natalie, you said they don't make enough low carb carnivore ideal antiques and would provide a living back. I would like to know more about what you have there, Natalie. I missed a part of that, and I'd love to know more about that. Hello, my weight loss life. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
I believe I got this set up to where I'm streaming it to my channel as
Good,
well.
good.
Um, so I'm not sure. Will my comments come through in this comment section as well? If there's
Well,
anybody,
let's see. Send something out.
send something out just from this page here, the StreamYard page.
Yeah, just text on your page. Yeah.
Um,
Because I have noticed in the past when multiple people log in,
there we go.
yeah, I
Sent
see the
something
hello
through.
everyone from you, but you've been here for a while. But I do see the link. So if you look on your like right now, I looked at Susan's. Right, Susan is in. I think maybe off of maybe both.
Oh, I see. There's like a little circle thing above her
Yeah,
name.
that little infinity, that little link. So I see
Okay.
yours was linked to it. So now I think what happens in this whole IT setup is the servers are trying to sync,
Okay.
and sometimes it takes 20, 30 minutes for everybody to see everybody else's comments. So what I often do is I'll just throw up two pages and have both. So I'll mute one and then I'll
Right.
copy and paste,
Susan's here. She says, "All right."
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we got probably mostly the same people, anyways. But I just figured I'd test it out here.
Yeah. Hey, it's Arquito Vogornian. How you doing?
Yeah, keto Voregonian. It's a tough
Yeah.
one to say sometimes.
I know. Oh, I found Dr. Ham.
Um,
Matter of fact, I went to the old hospital. I used to work at our local army hospital. Went up there with the wife, and we were doing some stuff. And we, uh, I stopped off at this one guy's office. He's a wonderful man. What a beautiful man this he is, and he suffers from type 2 diabetes. African American. His mom passed away last year. Had really bad dementia. That's a lot of diabetes. And I said, I'm gonna get Dr. Hampton. I'm gonna get that link and I'm gonna send it to him. And I told him, I said, I'm gonna send it to you because I don't have a racist bone in my body beyond what God put into me, right? And he knows that also. But I said, but it'll make a difference for you to hear the truth from a African American doctor.
Now, this was a friend of yours, you said?
Oh yeah, he was a coworker.
Okay.
And a friend, and he's just absolutely. Hey, Kayla, how you doing? Welcome. You coming in from Brent's page from Woodson 72. Thank you very much. Hey, everybody. Just as a side note, I can go ahead and put the banner up here, but I think it would be great that everybody here smash the like button, of course, and if you see somebody's page out there and you don't know who they are, ask them. Just type their name at their name and say, do you have a page? Everybody who has a page, feel free to put that in the comments so that everybody can follow everybody at one point in time, okay?
Robert.
Cool.
Looks like Robert. He says he's I am going to say goodnight, everyone.
Oh, okay. Are you out of here? Okay. Good night, Bubba. We'll see you around. Appreciate you. I didn't get a chance to comment, but I did watch your video, and I will address your video that you had with your son shortly. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate you. Thank you for coming into the live earlier with JT too.
Yeah, how did that go, Scott?
What's that?
How did that go? I was in there for about 5 minutes, maybe 10.
It went fast.
It went fast, yeah. Went
quick. It went real fast. I can't say hello in under 500 words.
You're right. That's one of your gifts.
Yeah. Speaking of gifts, do you get watch time for live streams? Yes. And I was just telling a Woodster the other day, I finally figured something out, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, just say Becky. Well, that'd be great, Becky, if I had a mind that remembered everybody's name. I am horrific at the whole name game. So I will do my very best, Miss Becky. But you're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. But what I found out is if you go on to if you have your own presence and you're concerned or you're tracking your watch time, make sure that when you drill down to it, you're not looking at just a 28-day running average. Look at your 90-day or 1 year.
Right. Yep. What were you had it on, what was it, 30 days was it set to, or what?
I think it's 28 days is the default.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Right.
And so that was kind of discouraging you, right?
Well, it kept going down.
Waiting, I'm sure.
Yeah. And do you remember when we talked about putting it on loop and watching it when we went to sleep?
Yeah. Do you think it worked?
Why is this happening? Yeah.
I was going to check mine, see. I'm sure it hasn't changed much as I haven't been very active the last week or two. But
Natalie says Natalie says about Black Forest. Yeah, I've been to the Black Forest. I'm very familiar with all that. Absolutely stunning carvings. You're right. I don't have that skill. I'm not trying to get to that skill. I have the skill to make a bowl, maybe, and I have the skill to make spoons, and that is enough.
I think they're pretty cool. I like your little bowl there.
Yep. I love it too. It's heavy. It's like substantial.
It's pretty dense, like the wood.
Oh yeah, it's this piece of wood probably weighs the better part of 3 pounds.
Wow. And what kind of wood was it? You said
walnut.
Walnut. There you go.
And this is my hand. I have a pretty good sized hand.
Yeah.
With a whole thumb, and I can't reach. And I can reach a full octave on a piano, right? So
is that prepared for food? What do you have to do to do that?
Oh yeah, I sand it. I sand it down to a 600 grit, which is pretty fine.
Really fine.
And then I use a food grade finish for it. So you could eat out of it. You could serve food out of it. You could do whatever you want to. You'll wash it lightly with some soap and water
Mhm.
and whatever. And then every year or so, put some more. You can use mineral oil, but I use something called Odie's. But
That's your seal.
yeah, and
Okay.
it's stout. You hit
Yeah.
someone in the head, and it's going to cause them
Sounds pretty solid.
significant damage.
So you want to do a type of plate, you said, with a kind of a little bit higher sidewall, right?
Yeah,
What
just a simple little plate that you can put a steak on and cut it and not worry about it. I don't want to get into the whole end grain effort because you got to cut it, you got to turn it, plane it, glue it up, re-scrape it, then route it, do it. But I mean, it's a lot of work that you have to turn out a lot of articles, right? I'm not doing this to make a living. I'm just
Mhm.
doing it to supplement maybe every once in a while, a pay off a month of being on the StreamYard.
Yeah.
And
Speaking of which,
that's,
Scott, I still owe you $20.
well, first of all, you don't owe me. I
Well,
appreciate the sentiment and I respect that. And I will do
yeah,
my best to give you the opportunity to honor that. But
still waiting. Just tell me the place.
I get you.
Told
All
you I'd
right. So,
cover your first month.
well, I appreciate that. I don't have such a watch out. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Don't be. That's why I took what you said, Susan, to heart. I'm getting ready. I'm making that other bowl, and I am working to make it just in multiple segments, and I'll show you when I'm hogging out the wood, and I'll show
Mhm.
you when I'm shaping the bowl and the first initial sanding, and that will be it. Then I'll make another one when I finish it, and try to keep it less than 14 hours long.
Hmm. When's that? Is that a video coming out you're working
Eh,
on?
yeah, most of it's in the can. I just got to sit down and put it. It does, like you said, it does take a lot of time
Yep.
to put, if anything of any quality already.
Yeah,
Now,
I've been really struggling with my videos lately.
well, I think that's why I'm doing these lives. I'll
Yeah.
do since I'm not focused on being a what do you call it, monetized.
Hmm.
Then I think I'm going to focus on doing this. The people will come when they come, and the watch hours will come as they come. And if I don't get 4,000 watch hours in the first year,
Hmm. Yep.
if I
Well,
don't
at
get
least
a thousand people,
you have a rolling year. That's
right?
good.
Yeah,
So it
but
just
we're
has
going
to
to do
stay
more of these
consistent.
type of things.
Yeah, it seems like because I was having issues with my phone, I actually had to go through my whole phone, I think 2 nights ago, and delete a bunch of stuff. So I have about 11,000 pictures on there and all sorts of videos. So I had to actually clear out quite a bit because my
Well,
record time for my videos was like 2 minutes.
right.
So I was trying to record videos and I was recording it with the front facing camera because it's higher quality. And I'd record a video and turn around to stop it, and it wasn't even recording. And so
Yeah,
it kept cutting off, I think, around 2 minutes. So I had to finally do a deep dive through the phone.
this right here is the answer.
Is it a HDD drive or something?
It's just a storage device. I
Oh,
got two.
wow.
I got two or three of them, right?
This guy?
And yep, yep.
Oh, there,
I
kind of.
Yeah, I got you.
This is one from way back in the day. I think it's 3 terabytes.
Right. And
5. It's
I make
plenty.
I make folders on them and say phone backup and date, and just throw it all in there.
I need to use this more often is what I should be doing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So Natalie, um, no, first of all, Becky, the quality. So this is my understanding from my years of professional video, professional acting. All right, content is king. All the rest is fluff.
Hmm.
If you think about some of the movies that were made on an iPhone, Spike Lee says you have more video or cinematic opportunity on an iPhone than he had on the first 3 or 4 movies he made.
Hmm.
It's always about the story and the content. After that, People will forgive you for a lack of technology. They will not be forgiving for a lack of content.
Yep. I've
So,
always heard audio is more important than video too.
well, yeah, okay. So you want to get the components out. That's very true. That's why a Yeti's a great mic. I don't know if I'll be able to bring this up, but I
Just
have this Elgato
okay.
Wave 3,
Yeah, I used to have some Elgato recording equipment for
and
Xbox
I've got
stuff.
something with Elgato that I can put in a XLR mic eventually.
Hmm.
But audio should just not be crappy.
Yeah, I'd say even most phones do decent quality. It's plenty. It's
Yep.
like so. Becky, we'll call her Becky instead of her YouTube name here. I
Yeah.
think I left a comment the other day on her channel, and I did this to someone else too. I said, just people appreciate the consistent uploading because I see her name pop up on my phone a couple times a week, and it's good to see that because then I know, okay, she's got another video and she's consistent.
Yeah.
It's very
We
important.
we we're building a community here, right?
Hmm.
So I think that's the what we're doing. Hello, Maribel. How are you? Welcome back. How are you today? Um, yeah, we just I think that the part of building a community has something called familiarity,
Hmm.
that we're familiar with one another, and I think that's the one of the key ingredients in that. I have been to streams that were really, really big. I mean, I think Kerry has a very big following, right? He got a large, loyal following.
Yep.
And in as much as that is, those people that were with him 4 years ago, they have to be near and dear to his heart if they've been consistent, right?
Yep.
So the crowds will come over time. The important part is that we build a relationship with the people that are with us now.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Mary Bella. Maybe has she been coming in recently?
Oh yeah, Maribel's been coming on more and more occasions. I've seen her in a couple other streams, and that's what we do. We kind of start seeing each other,
Hmm.
hanging out at the same places. Like when we were young and we go to the park, we see the same kids.
Right.
No one around you is like this community. You're right. I was talking about that in the interview I gave to JT. I've been fortunate to be around the world. I've been very fortunate to be associated with some of the finest people doing some of the hardest things that people might do. Not always the best people, but good people. And you build really strong bonds with people when you're under duress and you come through that duress. And I think that those of us who are engaged in remodeling our bodies and doing the carnivore way of life, we are in a battle, and we are um, uh, forging bonds that will make lasting relationships if we allow them to.
Yeah.
So I think this is your new community where you can find like-minded people. You got something there,
There we
Brent?
go. Oh, I was just checking, making sure the stream is working over here.
All right. So yeah, I agree with
Yeah, I
you.
do have a topic though, because I
Go.
heard you saying something about topics earlier. I want to talk about shortcuts in you can call it the dieting community, health community, whatever you want to call it. I've been noticing a lot of different ways that people can find shortcuts to get to what they want. And from what I'm seeing is it usually doesn't result in what you want. You actually, putting in the time to get there is very important. People are just trying to get past what it takes to get to their goals, I guess. That's kind of what I was trying to make a video on earlier tonight, but it wasn't coming out right. So I thought maybe it'd be a good topic to bring up here.
Well, I think we've all been around long enough to recognize that if it's too good to be true,
Hmm.
it is, right?
Yeah.
And that shortcuts are off ramps to disillusionment, if you would, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because even if we aren't um, grossly out from underneath the bell curve. So I like to talk a lot about bell curves, right?
Okay.
That distribution. If we're not far out from underneath it, it's part of our human nature, our sinful nature, to desire something more.
Mm-hmm.
And in that pursuit of moreness, if I can use that, that's not a good word, but in that pursuit of more, we get disillusioned and we start to look for um, those opportunities or things we see as opportunities to acquire more, and it never works out ever.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a price to be paid for circumventing natural law
Yeah, I
or
think
God's law.
I just see like when people do, they're looking for, what's going to be easier, right? I mean, that's how we are by nature. We're always usually looking for the easiest route to get where we're going. I'm
Right?
thinking like with a, let's say you have a fence and the fence has an opening, and then the fence continues. We're not going to go over the fence. We're going to go through the opening, right? It seems like it's the natural way, whatever's easiest. But what I think happens is when people take those shortcuts, whatever that may be, which there's a lot of different ones, I think you end up farther back, farther away from what you were actually trying to get to. So I don't know.
Well,
I'm just that's what's been kind of going through my head today.
well, I think it's important to address this idea about because we just saw with low carb carnivore. I thought you were going to say shortcuts are the off ramp to the on the freeway to success. Well, I think
Hmm.
I think that um, I think that we sometimes forget that this is a lifelong journey. There are no times where you can set back on your laurels. You can change lanes and move slower.
Mm-hmm.
You can you can get on a different route. Let's say because you are a father now with young children, the route you are on is completely different than the one you were on when you were single.
Yeah, definitely.
That doesn't mean that you're not going to get to this goal that you might have set,
Mm-hmm.
but you take responsibility and you understand I'm on a different route now and I have different expectations or different things that are happening and you accept that. But I think when we use the connotation of shortcut, like you were talking about, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when we say shortcut in the vernacular, we're saying I'm going to get something for nothing,
Yeah,
or I'm going to get more for less,
yeah. I mean, if we're referring to like, let's just say specifically more like weight loss, right?
right?
Obviously, you can have weight loss on carnivore diet and lots of diets. That's what most of them are promoting because that's what most people generally are looking for with a diet. And I'm just thinking, have you? There's like, let's just say medicine or pills out there. Like one of them, I remember quite a few years ago, people were taking, and it would essentially wouldn't allow your body to take in any of the fat,
Yeah.
and it would just go right through you. And so,
Yep.
I mean, it might have helped you lose some weight, and you ended up having to pay for that, and it worked for maybe a week, and then I'm sure you got sick of you know, the things that come with
Consequences.
that medicine,
Right.
and I'm sure it didn't work. So you end up spending more money or more time or more of your whatever, motivation you do have, and it ends up failing you. So,
Which comes back to that I hope it comes back to the construct that we're making there is I like to look at things in mathematical equation format, and the equation has to balance,
mm,
right? And so the energy in and energy out, and all the ideas and constructs of balance, and if we have the opportunity to recognize we're grasping at a straw for a shortcut, like taking a medication, or I have a number of friends right now who are, I'm trying to be delicate here and I apologize. I don't want to offend anybody, but sometimes you got to say something
Mm-hmm.
and then work around it to make sure you have better understanding.
Yep.
I have some friends who are severely limited in what they do in their life, and both a mother and a daughter are in the hospital now
Okay.
who had gastric bypass surgery.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying gastric bypass surgery is wrong or evil or anything like that, but what I am saying is when you take that choice, you've chosen a lifelong route fraught with pitfalls and potential surgeries and other issues, right?
Yep.
Just like a guy may say, "Hey, I want to get bigger so I can be on the football team, so I'm taking courses of steroids."
Mm-hmm.
They get on the football team, they do all this stuff, and then 8 years later, or 10 years, they need hip replacements, and they're only 35 years old, right?
Yep.
Uh, there are, in my opinion, unavoidable costs for choices.
So you mentioned what did you say, gastric bypass? Is that what you said?
Right.
Um, what would you consider it a shortcut, or do you consider it just another, it's a helpful, I mean, obviously I think it is helpful. It can be. Um,
I consider it a tool
okay.
that comes with specific consequences. When you say yes to this,
Mm-hmm.
you're saying no to that. I.e., I'm going, and the doctors tell you if you read about it, hey, your stomach may re-enlarge a bit.
Yep.
You may not be able to absorb the nutrients you need to, and you do duodenum. You may have other scarring issues, right? You may you may become malnourished due to absorption issues in your intestinal tract. So it isn't that it's wrong or a bad choice,
Right.
but of course you have to go with the eyes wide open. So I had surgery. You might have heard I had surgery on my right side of my neck. So they took two of the scalene muscles out of the side of my neck,
Okay.
and they cut them off my cervical spine. They cut them off my first rib, and they threw them away. So they threw away part of the muscle in my neck, and they deadened the nerves in my chest on my right side
Mm-hmm.
because I lost my ability to pump blood and have a feeling in my right arm. All right. Very risky surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Very easy. Could have died on the table. And I am suspect because I don't have muscles protecting my carotid artery on this side. Right.
Okay.
And
So
so,
was that from the military thing, or was that something
yeah.
else?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So, so they took care of that. Hindsight being 2020, knowing that I could have done carnivore and some other things. And I've heard a lot about hanging exercises can remodel the acromion in the shoulder
Okay.
instead of getting your acromion shaved. And so, with new knowledge comes understanding I would not have done the surgery,
Hmm.
but I operated under the conditions of what I knew at the time to give me the best outcomes. I
Yeah. You
put
didn't know, right? You didn't know
Right.
yet.
And the science hadn't proved it, right? So I think gastric bypass, a gastric sleeve, all those things are an, an option, but we need to realize that some options don't come with um, redos.
Yeah.
Like there's a young lady right now who's suing the Nebraska Medical Society. I don't know if you saw this, because when she was 14 years old or 16 years old, she had body dysmorphic
Okay.
issues, and she decided she wanted to be a boy.
Right.
And they did they with a 1 hour consultation, they decided to do gender reassignment. She had a radical mastectomy at 16.
It's
And she was
crazy.
like, how in the Sam Hill did adult doctors allow this to happen? And she's suing the doctors, right?
And how old is she now? Do you know?
I didn't read into it, but adult age, right?
Okay.
It's all over the news thing. But here's the point. The point is, if you're an adult making a decision, you need to make sure you look at all the information you can. And when you do that and you find out later, gee, I should have had a V8 or not have done this or whatever it is, right?
Right.
But it's not about casting dispersions about is it an effective a tool. Do the best you can while you're at it. Do your due diligence and accept the consequences.
Hmm. One point I wanted to make with the gastric bypass is I think it's a great tool that we can do that these days.
Right?
I guess obviously I think this stuff is discussed plenty ahead of those type of surgeries, but
You
what I
hope.
find interesting is although the weight loss is there, and it usually is, the mindset and the habits don't always follow. And that's something that regardless of if you're doing gastric bypass or if you're doing carnivore or if you're doing, calorie tracking, each person has to deal with that and they have to learn that. It doesn't just come with the surgery. You don't get your mindset changed or your habits. So it's
I,
very important.
I think you're spot on there with that. I think many physicians try to tell them that, right? That
Yep.
people are constantly make sure everybody gets that low carbon carnivore is Chuck. That doctors tell people, hey, this is just a portion of what we're trying to accomplish here.
Yeah.
And just in case, I think I mentioned I went to beauty college in a recent thing. All right, I went to
You
beauty
did?
school. Yeah, and
For what?
I was going to do the
What is that?
what?
What is that? Beauty? You said beauty school?
Yeah, beauty school, like to be a cosmetologist,
Oh, okay.
to
Okay.
do hair and all that.
Okay.
And then I decided to quit, and then I almost became a beauty school dropout, but ended up just being a makeup artist, right?
Okay.
And the thing I noticed was people would come to me and say, "Hey, I want a new look, right? I want you
Hmm.
to redo my normal thing, whether it's hair or makeup." Well, I would do something, and it would look wonderful. No, it was not ugly, you know what I mean? But the person wasn't used to seeing it, and when they
Okay.
weren't used to
It's different.
seeing
Yeah.
it, they wore it with a bad attitude,
Hmm.
right? I think that's how we are. A lot of people, a lot of times with people is because the thing may look just like a dress or a shirt. Like, I know this never happened to you, but if your significant other says, "How does this look?" and you really look at him and say, "It looks fine," they go, "No, it doesn't. I look ugly. It doesn't look good. I don't like it." No, why did you ask me?
Right.
Right,
They already have an opinion.
right, and they're not willing to accept another person's opinion.
Hmm.
Well, the same thing, though, can't we extrapolate that same phenomenon when we're talking about physical well-being and diet and exercise?
Yeah. That makes sense.
And so, and that's what Maribel is saying here about someone has weight loss surgery, they lose a lot, it saved his life, but didn't change his mindset, right? And there was one lady I saw. She lost a lot of weight, and she had to because she lost it real fast,
Hmm.
and she had I think the lap band on the gut.
Okay.
She had lots of excessive skin, no autophagy, no time for it to, and she hated the way she looked with the skin. She said, "I'm going to re-eat and get fat again because I felt much better when I was fat."
Really?
Well, it's that mental image,
Right. That's crazy. They
Hey,
want to go back to
right.
that.
Good night, B Dog. Thanks for coming in, brother.
Hmm.
So Chuck says, thought of a quote that goes along the whole road for you. Every journey has its end, and don't rush.
It's true.
Well, at least for our physical bodies, there is,
Yes.
and I think that uh, I've often told people, there's this phenomenon of when you were in high school, you had certain ideas,
Hmm.
and then at the 5-year high school reunion, everybody's just kind of comparing some silly stuff. At 10 years, they're comparing pictures of their kids. At 20 years, the kids are off and they're bragging on their kids. At
Mhm.
25, they're showing pictures of grandkids. In 30 years, they're talking about all that stuff. But by the time you get to your 50th anniversary, 50th reunion, you're just like, dude, you made it. You might have hated that person in high school,
Uh-huh.
right? But it took you 30, 40 years to realize, one, that person never thought about you, right? Oftentimes we get caught in the trap. I did here recently. It's not what I think. It's not what you think, but it's what I think you think that
Mm.
drives my train, right?
Yep. I think I remember you saying
So,
that in one of your videos.
yeah. So exactly. So then what happens is by the time you get 40 years down the primrose path, you're like, well, you were a pretty good guy. I never really had any, or gal, I never had a problem with you. And how you doing? And oh, I know we had some petty differences, but my
Right.
gosh, you survived life. We survived life.
Yep. I think it's part of it's a lack of, for some people, I think it's communication, right? If you never actually talk to that person, you have that
Right.
same assumption for years, right?
Right. I heard, and Becky, that's a great thing. You lose weight and people either think you have cancer or they wonder what you did or did you cheat? And yeah, you get a lot of attention you weren't expecting. You want to grow real fast? Yep. What were you thinking? I try to tell people all the time, high school is the best years of your life. Don't rush away from it.
That's pretty hard to believe when you're in high school, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember always wanting to be done with it.
Yeah. I know. You gotta get that surgery, Susan. My wife told me a story. It went like this. I'll try to encapsulate it quickly but succinctly, and it went like this. This old man was talking to some people about life, and he said, when you're in your 20s and 30s, imagine you're at a football stadium like maybe Packer Stadium or something like that, right? And you're clamoring to be in those seats down by the field where all the action is. And as you get older, you keep moving back in the seats. And as you move back in the seats, you're not clamoring so much for the action on the field. You're like talking to the people next to you.
Hmm.
And eventually, when you get to be 80, you're at the very top and you're just happy to be at the game,
Yeah.
right?
Still there.
And so I thought about that as a mental picture. I thought, I wonder if we could take that and make it kind of like a inverted cone. All the people in the youth are down here in a great big circle around the playing field. And as you get older and you move up in the stands, you get way up and you look down and you can't even see the players. You're just glad to be at the game.
Hmm.
The things you held important on the field have just evaporated.
Yeah. Another kind of with that though, your view of the game changes, right?
Oh,
As you get
absolutely.
farther up or farther away,
Yeah.
you have different perspective. As we know, we are always changing constantly.
Yeah. I remember back when I was in office, I got to go to all these Husker games, right?
Hmm.
And I had what some people might consider good seats, 42-yard line, fourth row.
Is that a good spot? I've never been to a
Well,
game, so I don't know.
if you're tall like me,
Uh-huh.
yeah. But if you're not, you can barely see over the visiting team.
Okay, so you're competing with the people on the
You,
ground
yeah,
almost.
you're too close.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
The good seats were up a little higher where you could look and watch the play.
Right.
But people will tend to think I got to be close to the action. And then you realize all the money people,
Hmm.
they're up there in the boxes, air conditioned, private bathrooms,
Right. They probably got the
catered
game on the
food.
screen too next to them.
Yes.
I've
Watching
always
the
heard that
replay.
with like UFC fights because I want to go to one eventually. I've heard a lot
Yeah.
of people that go to them. They say you're going to have your best view at home, right? And I think that's with most sports on TV.
Right.
But you get a different experience when you go there and you watch. You may not be able to see it as good as if you're sitting at home, but it's a whole different experience.
Well, I think that you hit the proverbial head on that nail, and that is you really need to know what it is you're after.
Yep.
Like being in carnivore, right? Are you after health? Are you after a bikini body? Or you what is your motivation? Um,
Yeah.
if you're after health, why you look at a scale, right? If you're
It's
after
true.
a better body, why you on a scale?
Hmm.
Today is day 61 for me. Day
Okay.
61?
61.
Day 61, day 60. Let me make sure. It could be day 60. The hours are starting to run into each other here. So look at, yeah, so today is day 61. I was right. So I did my obligatory measurements. I'm down an inch here, a half inch there.
Right.
I'm down to two. My scale hates me. It tells me all sorts of numbers. I step on it a couple of times just to make sure I can kind of get a wedge number.
Yep.
And it says I'm down to about 278, right? So
Okay.
that puts me down to better part of 25 pounds
Nice.
in 2 months or in 60 days, right?
Yeah.
But the important part is the belt I like to wear in my work pants,
Yeah.
it's on the last hole. And it might not hold up the pants.
That's good. That's good. That's one of your NSVs, right?
Right. So what do I care what the scales indicate? Because
Right.
as you know, muscles revolumize. I was talking to someone who does their they do like a total body scan. Their scale gives them bone density and all that. Hey, if you're a 60-year-old lady and you're gaining bone density, what do you care what the number on the scale is?
Right.
If your pants are falling off, if you have to go buy new skivvies, if one of the it was Robert Bubba Baker was talking about his hat is smaller. He had to make his hat get smaller.
Really? Yeah, I didn't hear that one. Was that in
Yeah.
today's video?
No, that was maybe a week or so
Oh,
ago. I
okay.
mean, so the idea being is that those NSVs really have to be somewhere where we live. The scale is only an indice of mass. It has no real ability to tell you. Like you carry a lot of lean body mass. I take it there, Woodster.
I would assume somewhat.
Yeah.
I've never actually tested it.
Well, I think you do just by looking at the shape of your shoulders, right?
Hmm.
Um, and so I carry a lot of like question is what is a lot of lean body mass, right?
Right.
If you're average American male and you're 180 pounds, right? 160 pounds, well, see, 180, 20% would be 36. 36 from 180, round up to 40. You'd be 140 pounds of lean body mass with 20% body fat. All
Huh.
right. So I carry 200 pounds of lean body mass.
So now, what all is included in lean body mass? Do you know off the top
Well,
of your
that would
head?
be bone. That would be bone and muscle.
And organs or not?
Well,
Is that counted?
I think an organs would be counted. So in other words, you've
Okay.
got fat and pretty much everything else.
Okay, that makes sense.
And if you have the ability, I could be corrected. If you have an ability like an in-body test, or you could do
Hmm.
you're doing the electronic pulse, and it
Oh
can give
yeah,
you a body fat.
got the little hand thing you put out. One of
Yeah,
those.
yeah, or the ones on the feet. I don't think they're highly accurate, but if you can do something like that, so then you can say lean mass, fat-free mass. I can go to my military hospital and they can measure all of it. They can even make me do, but they couldn't let me do the breathing one where they could really get my caloric load, my basal metabolic rate.
They do
Because
a
I was
breathing
just,
device.
yeah. So what they do, you basically put you in a pod and they put a mouthpiece on you and it measures what you're exhaling and it will tell you down to a calorie what your resting basal metabolic rate is.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, my resting basal metabolic rate, even being out of shape and 316 pounds, was 2,800 calories a day.
That's pretty good. I imagine mine's got to be somewhere similar to yours, right?
Yeah.
We're about the
So
same size.
yeah, and you're younger and you have more fat-free mass. I'm going to assume. So the idea being is that you know our bodies are different from the average one. So when you start getting into the questions about what is meaningful weight loss, I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all to dwell on it.
Yeah,
We're so
I've got
different.
a challenge for you, Scott.
What's that?
Let's do a I was thinking November would be best, but how about a no scale November?
I'm all about it.
So we just throw the scale out for a month. What do you think?
Absolutely.
You want to do November or you want to do October since it's coming up next? I just figured with the ends, November and no scale, whatever.
Well,
I don't care which one.
why not just wait till the end of November before we weigh it all?
So do 2 months? You want to do 2 months?
Yeah.
From now until the end of November?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to have my wife hide the scale.
Yeah. Just the idea being is we'll just have to find a way to say we're not going to measure that way. What's that?
We'll take it out of our view, right?
Yeah. Just say, hey, I don't need it.
Okay. Maybe we can get some more people on board with us.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. Okay, let's say Kayla. How you doing, Kayla W? Woods have generally large muscle groups. Okay, Kayla, that must be a wood.
That's my sister-in-law.
That's okay.
She's part of the family.
I'm gonna let that go. That's a good comment. Just popped over to the stream to hit the like and say hi. Oh, thank you, Natalie. You're awesome. Awesome. I think that in genetics plays a huge role. At least you couldn't do it a daily weight. Yeah, well, I think Lisa, and I'm sure Brent would chime in here in a minute. Is in our journey we will require different things along the way. Like if I go on a hike and it's not flat, I'm taking a walking stick with me because I'm not going to trust. I can go up pretty well. Mm-hmm. Going down is where I have more questions.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take my walking stick, right?
Yep.
When I get confident that I can walk without potentially falling down and busting my crown, then I'll drop the walking stick. So Lisa, when you get to a point where you say, you know what, I'm tired, or the feedback isn't worth the anxiety. Because there's a lot of anxiety tied to a scale, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Especially, I've wanted to make a video on this, but just to show people, and most people know this, but water, right? I drink about a gallon of water every day, and that's like 8 pounds or so, 8.5. I mean, that's just one part of your weight that's fluctuating. Obviously, there's other things that make that change as well. Your stress, your sleep, going to the bathroom, all those things are a factor. And so you can literally have that much fluctuation in one day.
I challenge each person on here to go to their Google-inator and Google how much you sweat at night.
I am not familiar on that. Is it quite a bit?
I'm gonna go do it right now.
Okay.
Average volume of sweat per night.
If anybody else wants to join us on the no scale, I'd like to call it no scale until end of November. Does that sound right, Scott?
Sure.
We're in September, so it's like 2.5 months. Is that what you want to do?
Sure.
Okay. Sounds good.
So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll get all the way through Thanksgiving, right?
Okay.
And that last weekend, you can whatever, or the 1st of December, we'll let ourselves have a moment of sheer terror.
Yeah, that'll be a while.
So I just looked up. This was called the Washington City paper, the first one. Mm-hmm. Total body loss on average healthy young males is 25 milliliters per hour, or 200 milliliters per 8 hours of sleep. All right.
200 per 8 hours?
Right. That was just one reference. Now I'm going to go to medicine.net. That's a sweat per day. That's not going to get it. The sweat sweating while at night, another extra. Okay. It says between 500 and 700 millimeters, or 16 to 24 ounces.
Holy cow.
That's why Europeans turn down their mattresses, their bedding, and let it air out and dry. If you make your bed immediately, there was an article just last week that said one of the worst things doctors say you could do is wear your socks to bed.
Wow.
It's
I didn't
worse than
know you
worse than
sweated
a
that
toilet
much.
bowl.
So
Because
16 to 24 ounces? Is that
yeah,
what the last one said?
yeah.
I wonder what is that in pounds? Do you know that would come to?
Well, see, 16 ounces. See,
Is that
24 ounces would be about what is that, a pint or
let
a
me see.
quart?
Oh, it's a split.
164, so it'd probably be like a pint.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm not
All
sure.
right, good night, Chuck. Okay, question here. Thanksgiving. What do you think you will do about eating dinner with the family? Eat ketovore, meat, veg, keto dessert, or eat only turkey or steak? I'll probably eat with my family and I'll have a little bit of each of the things that are the least damaging. Like I'll probably have some green beans. I might have some sweet potato. I'll eat lots of meat, but I won't do the dinner roll. I won't do pecan pie, but I would do a bite of maybe pumpkin pie, you know. But I'll probably just eat the filling, not the crust.
Yeah. I'm not sure yet, to be honest.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll have to make that decision when I get a little closer, because that's kind of what threw me off a little bit last year.
Is it?
Is you just have this, a little bit of this, and then I'll try that too, and pretty soon you're back down the road, going back to where you were. But our
Well,
mindset can change over time. But I honestly I don't know yet if I'll stay
well,
on
I
it or
think.
go off. That's just me.
Well, I think that if we go into it with our families planning it, right?
Yeah.
There really can be a meeting of the mind, so to speak, right?
I can see that, but I also most of the time, from my experience, they're pretty willing to say, "Oh, you'll be fine." Just on the holidays, right? I mean, is your family more encouraging? I guess.
Well, we are empty nesters, so
Well, I mean, does your no? I mean, like, let's say on the holidays. I guess you weren't doing this last year, were you on the holidays?
I wasn't doing carnivore, but I have for the last 4 years really been in a dirty keto
Okay.
state with periods of absolute forgetfulness and
Mm-hmm.
getting 2 chocolate shakes a day. But I would say that in general, when I hit the holidays, when I get the most disciplined, because I really have grown to detest food comas.
Hmm.
I don't like food comas. And
Just eat,
so,
eat way too much, and then you feel tired and feel like doing
yes.
nothing. Yeah.
So
Sounds like
I think,
carbs.
yeah, too many carbs or even just too many. I mean, look, if you eat 3,000 calories of meat and fat, you're still going to have to deal with 3,000 calories of meat and fat.
True, but you will feel better than if you're eating 3,000 calories of cake. Promise you that. Well,
Yes.
3,000 calories of meat is a lot too.
Yeah. But I just say it was lots of fat and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I guess in the long run, the idea being there is I'll get through the holidays. I'll probably be more of a dirty keto a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for me, the long pole in that proverbial tent will be I know what I need to do to feel well, to feel
Yeah.
better, and I'll get onto that quicker than otherwise, and I won't beat myself up. That's what I was saying before earlier tonight in JT channel. Is he said, "Give me an important thing," and I say, "We've got to show grace to people, and we need to show grace to ourselves because this is a long, long journey, and if we take care of the nits and the gnats." The boulders will take care of themselves.
Hmm.
I think all too often we get so focused on these big rocks that we forget that if we cleared the path, we could just let the rock roll away, right? It's our day to day. What are you doing for breakfast? What are you doing to get your sleep? What are you doing for your hydration? How are you constructing the calories you're taking? Are you getting your calories from the on the scale? On you get them from the most or from the best sources like good eggs and good beef and good chicken, right?
Yep.
Or you get them from hot dogs and fast food and seed oils. If we take care of the little things every day, brush your teeth, make your bed, hang up your clothes, fold them out of the dryer, iron them out of the dryer, you will find you have more time left in your day because you're not running around on Sunday looking for a shirt you can wear.
Hmm.
At work, you're not doing the sniff test. Your t-shirts are clean, your shoes are prepared. But we allow ourselves to get distracted by soap opera things and then run around like a chicken with our head cut off at the last moment trying to get things done.
Yep.
If we left 15 minutes, if you need to be at work at 9 o'clock, be at work at 8:45. Plan for the time you need, and you'll be much less hectic. Your life will be much less stressful.
Yep. Some people don't do that though, Scott.
No, of course
They
not.
just keep playing the race game, right? Where you're just always racing everywhere and you're never planning anything, you're never setting anything up, you're never have any goals, nothing like that.
I've been there, right? I've been
Yep.
there very much, but the I would hope the goal of this whole revamping of who we are through this dietary lifestyle incorporates some more things. You know, Doctor. Good night. Why am I going to? I'll get his name. Dr. Peterson, Jordan Peterson. He
Mm-hmm.
has the books, the 12 Rules of Life for Young Men or whatever.
Oh, the 12 laws of life or something like that.
Yeah. You know, there've been all sorts of these things, but it starts with the basic things. Start with your circle that you can,
Mm-hmm.
expand that circle as it becomes more available to you through repetition, right?
Yep.
And I think that the idea of the idea that we will be at the pinnacle when we start something is part of the falsity that the media has perpetrated on our country for the last 80, 60 years, right? When my
What
grand
I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
say that last part again.
We've been
Remember?
sold a false narrative that a 21-year-old can start where the 80-year-old left off,
Okay, I see what you're saying.
right?
Yep.
When my grandparents came, on my dad's side came over on a boat. One came from Slovakia, another one came from Wales. My father was first generation. They didn't own a home; they rented a home for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
They finally saved and scrimped and good fortune. They got a little two-bedroom home out in the woods in Pennsylvania. Well, hey there, Mike Shaw. Good to see you. So what happened was, um, when they passed, and they, of course, everybody passes. They had a nice home. They had a nice life, but the thing is that they didn't have it all. And then my father had some things, and then I've acquired. But my boys feel that they should start. I got one son who says, "Dad, I just want to do what you do. I just want to be retired."
Mm-hmm.
You're 20. You're 26 years old. Where do you get this idea? Or when I was first in the military, I was not allowed to get a loan to buy a car. The bank wouldn't loan me the money. The military said I couldn't own a car on base because I lived in a dorm and I walked across the street because I knew that too many young people in my situation were getting into debt over their heads.
Right.
Now I'm 18. I got a job at McDonald's and I want a car payment for a $35,000 car. And they're going
Yeah.
to give me the loan?
Yep. They're willing to. I was heard that on a, wonder where that was. It was either someone's YouTube video or like a comedian was talking about. Um, yeah, people go and they try to get a loan and they're adults, but based on, let's say their credit or their history, they couldn't get it. But as soon as you turn 18, you're ready to go to college, $80,000. There you go. Right.
It's a tragedy.
Yeah. Let's set them up real well.
Right.
Let's see.
So I think that that same mentality gets transferred over to physical conditioning. I want to be able to sprint. I want to be able to bench press 300. I want to have this bikini body or whatever it is.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry, but here in Reelsville, people don't look like that. You shouldn't expect that from other people. I feel bad for young people who have this ideal that they have to look a certain way, they have to have a certain physical attribute, and they have to share it so many times to have value. And I said, when you get done with this little social experiment, you're going to find out that and they won't be alone, but they have put all their future into a false sense of value.
Yep. We are lacking on our goals with our younger generation, I think, as far as where they want to be and how they want to be similar to, certain influencers, I think.
Well,
It'd be very dangerous.
And I think that people in my age group and a little bit older are to blame. I'll give an example. When I was first starting out in politics, and I was, when you first start out in a whole political thing, you start at the bottom and you do a lot of grunt work, right?
Okay.
And I was doing all these parades, and I was doing all the county fairs and setting things up and doing stuff and looking for volunteers and burning the candle from both ends. And I went to a lady and I said to her, "Hey, I need your help. I need some workers to facilitate this process." And she said, "I paid my dues. I'm not going to do it." And I looked at her and I said, "You paid your dues, I get it, but you didn't raise anybody up behind you." See, she was about 64 years old, and I was about 45 years old, right? There should have been a 50-year-old involved there who came up behind that they brought in. But what they did is they didn't want to deal with anybody in the 80s and 90s to bring them up. So they didn't do it. They did it. They kept doing it. They kept doing all the work. And then a gap came up, or maybe it was the 90s and 2000s. And so when I showed up in 2008 or 2006, there was a hole, and I didn't have people to do the work, to be mentors, and to do the work. They didn't bring people up. It's like if you're in a business, if anybody's in a business, you have to have your succession planning done, right? One day you're not going to be at the job. One day you're going to want to do something different. You need to have a plan to get in and a plan to get out.
Yep.
And you need to bring people up behind you. You need to train your replacement at work, right?
Yep.
And people don't want to do that. So then all of a sudden there's a vacuum. Well, if I'm looking at kids who are 22 years old now, 24 years old, and I'm saying, why don't you have the understanding of, to me, it's a foreign concept that showing up to work on time is considered a skill set. That was an expectation in my day.
Yeah.
Right?
Things have definitely changed, haven't they?
So the point is, we can't just point the finger at the person at the low end of the learning spectrum.
Right.
Where were the teachers? Where are the role models? Where are the reinforcements?
Yeah. So on that point I've always said this for a while. It's like people get mad for a while. It was always the millennials, right? And my thing I always said was, well, who raised them?
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I thought that was a good point, but.
And that is a great point, because you just said it in 15 words. It took me 15 minutes. But the idea is, well, it's human nature
Yeah.
It's human nature to judge people as soon as you see them. It's human nature to pass off everything you can to other people, and it takes an act of will to go against your nature.
Hmm.
That's the bottom line.
Right.
Hey, I'm seeing some amazing numbers here. People losing weight and the changes. These non-scale victories and scale victories are pretty flipping off. It's
You
awesome.
have to read through some of those. I think I'm missing a couple of them.
Yeah, Susan, you're talking about being slow. Like some people, like Natalie's up here was saying 6 kilograms, so that's about 20 pounds in 3 months. But again, your Y is an autoimmune, not a bikini, right? I think that, and I say bikini, I don't mean to be offensive. It could be speedos for guys. I have no idea, but the idea being is that we all have different situations we're coming from, and I listen to some people say, "Well, I was on carnivore for 3 days and I was off my CPAP and I lost 63 pounds." I'm like, "Well, great, I'm happy for you, but that's not working so schmoozy booby for me."
What's your what are your thoughts around the I've noticed lately in the community you get a lot of the phrase that I've fallen off or that I'm restarting. I've there's a couple people that have used it a lot lately.
Yeah,
But I kind of have to disagree with it just in general because especially on the restarting part. It's not like I mean, you may have fallen off in your eyes, right? In your mind, but you're still going, right? But
well, I think what you're alluding to, and I'm pretty sure we run in the same circles,
yes.
um, is this idea of some people are depending on the revenue stream,
Hmm.
so they are responding to the algorithm.
Yeah.
Live by the sword, die by the sword.
Maybe it is just that. I just hope it's not the true mindset, I guess,
I
because
don't
it's
think it's a true
it's
mindset.
it's going to happen hundreds of times,
That's
right?
right.
It's pretty hard to be strict carnivore. I know from plenty of my own, you call them falling offs, right? Whatever you want
Right,
to
right.
call it.
Well, I think you bring a very good point. If we were going to be honest, right,
Yeah,
with ourselves, and that would
yep.
be, what is the cost of a strict carnivore diet? What does that actually look like?
Hmm. A
That's going to
lot of
look kind.
a lot
That's
of
going to look
dedication. That's what it is.
well, but specifically, if we give it some specificity, right?
Okay.
So let's look at Dr. Chafee. All right, neurosurgeon,
Right.
working 12-hour days and really aggressive in his approach to life.
Yep.
I would feel confident to say he probably makes no less than $300,000 a year.
Probably.
Okay. No matter what your tax bracket is, no matter what your other outlays are, you can probably afford $25 a pound steak every day.
Oh yeah.
If you are out there busting your hump to make $36,000 a year and you have a family to feed and bills to pay, you are not living off of prime rib or anything like that, right?
Probably
You know,
not.
so so when we look at the total cost of ownership of a lifestyle, it's convenient to have sous vide and it's convenient to have the bags and the time to do it.
Hmm.
It's convenient to have a big grill and it's ready to go, right?
Yeah.
But in a place called Rillsville, you're going to stop off at the local grab and go and get a burger and try to tell yourself you've done good by eating it without a bun.
All right.
So, I
Yep.
mean,
But do you think that's what keeps him so steady on it? Because from what I've watched in his videos, I can't recall a time where he said, occasionally I have a fill in the blank. Whereas, Dr. Sean Baker, I've heard him say, occasionally I'll have, if I'm at a birthday, I have a piece of cake, or,
Right.
that's kind of how he talks. But I've never heard Chafee talk like that.
Well, different people come at it from different ways, and I think you're bringing up something without saying it is, um, we've got to measure by our own yardsticks what we can do.
Yeah.
Like I said, Dr. Chafee, I mean, he played rugby,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
He
Yep.
was a high level rugby player, and he went to medical school with that dome all banged up like that, right?
It's
He is
true.
not like the rest of us.
Hmm.
There's nothing about him that is like the rest of us. You know, give me Sam Goodman, you know, or someone who's a big fella who fights the battle of the bulge and fights the a battle of excesses, right? Then maybe we can compare some notes.
Yeah.
I can't. I can't consider. Who was that champion swimmer? Won all the gold medals a couple Olympics
Michael
ago.
Phelps. Michael
Yeah,
Phelps. Is that what it
Michael
is?
Phelps. Yeah,
I'll
Michael
look it up.
Phelps isn't like everybody else.
Yeah.
Why would you measure yourself against him?
That's true. I see what you're saying. We
So
shouldn't
when I
compare
look at,
ourselves to him, to Dr. Chafee.
yeah, I don't think that's reasonable. Now I can look at Dr. Baker and I can make maybe some. He was a heavy guy. Yeah, he's a doctor, but he's a military guy. He's been through it. But you can see he transformed his body.
Oh, yeah.
You can see his dedication. I watched him do box jumps in the early days. You know what I mean? So I think the idea is if you're a lady and you're 5'7" and your wrist is 7 inches around, right? Just the
Mhm.
wrist, right? You're not going to weigh 118 pounds. I'm sorry. I'm 6'5" and I have huge shoulders and thick legs. I'm not going to weigh 186 pounds until I've been dead for about a month.
Yeah. When was the last time you weighed 186 pounds, Scott? I've got a rough
Maybe a
idea of when mine was.
freshman.
Freshman? Okay. Mine was probably between 6th and 7th grade. So I
Yeah,
think I was 220 freshman year.
yeah. I was not that big. I was still pretty skinny my freshman year. So, but anyway, that's my point. Is if you're a guitarist, you want to go up and measure your hacks against someone like Stevie Ray Vaughan? No,
Right.
right?
They're in a different level.
Well, and different people, and we watching the comments. There are just so many people here. We all come at it from such a different place. And but to get back to what you were talking about is about people who are saying, "Hey, I've fallen off. Hey, I've got a rededication." First and foremost, I hope so. That'd be just like if you're talking to a believer, right?
Hmm.
Somebody who's a professed of faith, and they've fallen prey to their sin,
They're
right?
restarting, right? Yeah.
Well, restarting, but repentance,
Yeah.
recommitment.
I guess
We
it's
use those words all the time, and
that's
that.
true. That is true.
So I'm gonna read this comment. 145. That's the bonus. Health benefit, healing, outweigh the weight loss. I've kept it off and haven't gone back. There you go.
Yeah, that's
That's
good. Susan's been doing this for a long time.
that's right. It is phenomenal, and and I tell people like I don't. I wanted to make a show one time with us believers. I wanted us to talk about our miracles, right?
Hmm.
And maybe miracles outside of the birth of our children. Okay.
Okay.
I've been trying to tell people that when we've seen a miracle
Hmm.
and we revisit that miracle in our mind, that we should do that on a regular basis so that we personalize the power of God in our lives.
Hmm.
So if you
Yeah, I got
remember
a couple I
Hurricane,
can think of.
yeah, I can remember like Hurricane Katrina, right? Right after Katrina, my church went down there to the New Orleans area. I went down there. I was at the Cajun Dome, and there was a big call for Similac, a baby formula,
Hmm.
right? And they needed it. And I'm a ham radio operator on the side, and so with that, my combat life saving skills and big ugly guy can take care of things. That's why I kind of went down with my church. I took a couple nurses, a nurse practitioner down there as a security detail and doing other things, and my radio. So on the radio call was this call for Similac, right?
Yeah.
And no one could find it. Everybody wanted it. No one could find any. I had a trailer full of stuff, and I was delivering it to a Buddhist monastery in New Iberia, Louisiana. Okay.
A
So
monastery.
it was a Buddhist one,
Now explain what that is. Is that
like, pagodas and dong bong 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 and beads and the whole
okay?
Buddhist thing. All right.
Okay.
It's a Buddhist temple down in far south Louisiana.
Right.
So we rolled up, and I was there with a truck and a trailer. Some other people showed up with trucks and trailers, and Mama San was there, and Mama San was like speaking in the native tongue to the guys, and all these little fellers. They went into our trucks, and they went into I had a U-Haul behind my truck,
Hmm.
and they went through it, and they only took what they needed. So it's like scavenger, thing and out, right?
Right.
And they left in my vehicle what they didn't want.
Hmm.
They were in the truck next to me. They did the same thing. When they left out of the truck, what was in the middle of the truck? A pallet of Similac.
Wow.
And then I told Mama San had her guys move it into mine. And I took it to the Cajun Dome for those babies.
That's pretty cool.
That was a miracle.
Yeah.
And when I remember that miracle, right, I remember the power of God in my life. And I think all too often we forget those things. So, like Susan talking about losing that weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got to remember what you got. Don't get too focused on where you got to go to, because you've seen the power of God. And I think we would be well served to remember those miracles that we witnessed.
Yep. Yeah, I left a comment on Hoosier Carnivore's video today. He was just doing his 6-month update, I believe it was.
Yep, he did.
And I was just thinking as I was listening to it, imagine going back to before you started. And this is essentially what I said, but would you have ever, we've heard this before, but would you have ever thought that you would be where you are now, those 6 months later, with all the changes he's had and, the weight loss and all the health benefits? It's pretty crazy. And Susan's story is, Hoosier was only 6 months, but she's years into this. So
well, look at Sean at the Intentional Carnivore.
yeah,
he lost his whole family in weight.
Yeah, I heard him say that the other day.
Pounds.
Huh, that's a lot of weight, and he's done it very quickly.
Right, which goes to show that different physiological conditions exist in each of us, and we respond differently. I mean, I have literally read scientific studies and listened to some people in the community talk. You can lose a lot of weight being a fruitarian. You
Right.
can. It's not sustainable, right? And that's why I think we need to be careful in our terminologies when we start to say this extreme thing I did, like even if it's fasting, right? Let's say you do 72-hour fast every 3 days,
Okay.
right? You're going to lose weight.
Yeah.
Is it sustainable? Is it healthy?
I guess with the back to the fruit thing, why wouldn't it be? Is it because of the nutrients and all of that, or do you think it's? I mean, why? How come why do we think carnivore is sustainable, but the fruit thing wouldn't be? I guess that's kind of an interesting question.
Well, I suspect it's from what these doctors have said and what the experience has said is every bit of food we put in our mouth, even if it's bentonite clay, okay? Everything we put in our mouth falls in a spectrum.
Okay.
Some things are best, like Carnivore Soldier was saying, best practices, and
Okay.
some things are less than optimal. And the condition you're in, if you are absolutely starving, so in Africa back in the 60s, oh, the poor starving Africans, right? So they sent a bunch of concentrated protein products over there to the starving children. They ate the protein products and went blind almost immediately
Really? Because the
because the
protein is too
body
much or what?
prioritized the body prioritized the metabolism of the protein, and in doing so took the retinol and whatever that the eyes were using, right?
Hmm.
And they were able to recover most of their sight by giving them. That's when they realized you just can't give them all protein or all vitamin C or all vitamin A. You know, if you look at protein profile, you have to have all your essential proteins, right, in
Mhm.
in ratios. You just can't eat 100 grams of leucine, right?
I see.
There's ratios in doing that because the body is used to it. So I think whole natural foods, as in the way they were presented to us, right? Eat the ruminant, eat the lamb, eat the beef, right? The egg is got a perfect amino acid
Yep.
profile, right?
Yep.
If you eat just the egg white, you're kind of messing with the formula.
Yeah. I've considered, I mean, a few times in these last like month and a half where I would prefer to have more of the yolk than the
Uh huh.
whites. So on some of the eggs, I'll just not put the whites in with the rest of it. But you were talking about something that I wanted to ask you. Do you know what the verse is in the Bible that talks about food? And I think it says something along the lines of all food is essentially, I guess you can eat it, but not all of it is the same. Does that sound familiar to you? Maybe I
Not
can,
directly.
let me see
I
if I can
think,
find anything.
okay, I do know that Jesus says it's not that what goes into you, but what comes out of you that defiles.
Okay.
But I'm sure that if we cherry pick verses, we can find some things.
Right.
Absolutely.
Oh, got ads here. Let me get out of this.
Okay,
But
Kayla, thank you very much for coming in and joining us. I hope I didn't miss you. Thank you.
okay, let's see. So there's, yeah, that one. Let's
So,
see.
Natalie, on your fruit comment right there, I was just watching something today. A banana today doesn't look at all like a banana that used to be running around 150 years ago. An apple today, a regular red apple today, isn't like what we had before. When I grew up, Granny Smith apples and fresh apples, they were tart, son of guns. They weren't as big as a cat head. I think we've gotten out of the idea of what is a natural food. So there's challenge and all that, right? Oxalates, yeah, I've been reading about oxalates, and a lot of people don't realize, I guess, when we get foreign substances in our body. So I know everybody here knows this, but we're basically like a meat tube, like a worm, right? We bring food into our mouth, we know how it exits, and our bodies exist everything from between the lining of our gastrointestinal and airways and our skin, right? And our whole life is in our body. The outside world comes in and goes through, and there's lots of checks and balances for that, right? And that the idea is when we get stuff that gets across the epithelial lining of our intestines or through our lungs, right? Mainly through our intestines. If it's not good stuff, your body will actually wrap fat around it and take it and store it. So when you do a rapid fat loss, all of a sudden things that were seen as toxic by your body's getting overloaded by them because you're burning the fat that was utilized to buffer. So That's why many times in the rapid weight loss scenario, people get really, really ill. Is it's not so much because they're not eating, but it's that well, like an oxalate dump or something like that. So I just thought I'd throw that a little bit out. What'd you find there, Wizard?
I'm not seeing the verse I was thinking, because I know I was just talking about this today with my coworker, but apparently I'm not seeing the one that we were talking about. So I'm
Right.
wondering if we were misquoting that verse.
Yeah. Now, Natalie, just to go back to your omega 6, omega 3, that's because of all the soy that's fed. That's why heritage farming is really taken off, letting animals eat the natural grasses they're supposed to eat and not a lot of soy and a lot of that type of thing. But again, um, in full disclosure to what some of the doctors are saying is beef with a little too high omega 6 to omega 3 is going to be a lot better than a bowl of Cheerios.
It's true.
And we can do things to modify our to up our omega 3 um, profiles if we want to. There you go, Susan. There you go. That's why I knew I threw that 5'7" to 5'9". Some people can carry the weight better. I think Woodster and I carry weight better than maybe someone who's only 5'8".
Yeah. Oh, we got Midlife Carnivore put up a verse there. Let me look that one up.
1 Corinthians 10:23, perhaps.
Let's check it. Okay. Yeah, it says I have the right to do anything you say, but not everything is beneficial. Maybe it's
And
along those
Romans,
lines is what we were thinking of.
what about Romans 14:14?
Go back to that one.
Oh, there you go, midlife. There you go. That's a good way, but particularly for you with that, with your histamine challenges. That's really good for you.
Okay, so Romans 14:14 says, I know and I am convinced in the Lord Jesus that nothing is unclean in itself. Still, it is unclean for someone who thinks it's unclean.
I think that gets back to almost when Jesus was asked, it's not what goes in, is what comes out.
Yeah.
Again, and we have a different covenant on things than they had in the Old Testament. But many times, while this discussion is paramount to our walk, I do find myself saying, I like today, and I was praying. You know how the Lord says He hears the prayers of repentant believers, right?
Hmm.
And I don't hear a lot of repentance in corporate praying, right?
Okay.
I'm not saying people aren't repenting. That's not mine to say one way or another. But as I thought about it to myself when I was doing it, I was saying, we don't want to be repetitive in our requests, right? Like you don't want to be checking the box. You really want to be heartfelt and authentic and genuine, right? And I thought about it. I said, I'm always praying about the challenges of saying things. You know how the tongue can be such a terrible sword, right? If I keep praying for the same thing and I'm not seeing change, was my prayer authentic? Was it genuine? Was my repentance genuine?
You're
So
talking about what they were repenting for, or
yeah, like
just
if
things
I
in
want,
general?
like no, if I'm repentant for having a what I'm calling rapier wit, but really what I'm doing is I'm being hurtful to people. If
Right.
I say things that are reactive and not responsive, I mean, we shouldn't be continually praying. I want to say that I shouldn't continue to be praying for the same, repenting for the same errors. You would think you grow up, you change, you mature, you're not doing the same things, right?
Yeah.
But when I look at the categories of sinful behavior, right? I've begun to pray that I will be shown before I do something to
Yeah.
see the pit, the snare, the trap, so that as a thought, I'm thinking of Paul and his epistles when he writes, I know what to do, but I do it not, right?
Yep.
Our, our evolution, our maturation as believers and as carnivores is I don't want. Russ says this really well from Buckeye, right? Homesick Buckeye.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I'm not doing a lot of change. I just know this. I just don't want that anymore. My need is bigger than my want. So the desire has been taken away from me for this.
He's talking about his eating.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I think the same thing would apply to us if we invite the Lord into our hearts, right?
Yeah.
To sit there and say, Lord, take away this need for from wherever it's born from different people's different reasons from
Mm-hmm.
whatever it's born from, take away this need to say things like this.
Yeah, I think he
Not
definitely can make you more aware of it, like you were saying before.
right. Yeah,
But I mean,
exactly.
we're gonna continue to be sinners regardless. But yeah, we definitely there's a conscious. Most of the time, there's a conscious yes or no. You're gonna just make a decision on it.
Well, and you what you just said, I've been meditating and thinking about that a lot today.
Okay.
Does our inherent nature of being a sinner can't well, I know the answer to this, but let me try to articulate this in an intelligent way.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree that our inherent nature of being a sinner, right? Our the our conception in sin, right?
Yep.
That that does not give us license to go whole hog into sinning. We can't
Correct.
sit there and say, well, I'm always going to be a sinner. So, right?
Right. It's not the doesn't give you the right
License.
to keep
Yeah.
on going and disregarding it. I think
Okay.
it's the if that I mean I think we're on the same page, but you have to I think we do have to understand though that I've had this discussion with a different coworker lots of times because we've comes up all the time, but I don't think we'll ever on earth I don't think we'll ever get to the point where we don't sin anymore. Is
Well,
that do you believe that or not?
absolutely. Because if you think about
Okay.
it, right, what sin means to miss the mark, right?
Right. And we know that we will always miss that mark on earth.
But when we think about missing that mark, right, it's of me
Yep.
thinking, okay, this is not doctrinal, okay? For me to be an individual, to be Scotty, right? That means I've declared and I am different than God, correct?
Yes, we are.
Okay. I mean, just by that nature. So inherently, when I'm apart from God, I'm in a sinful state, no matter what I've
Correct.
done. I
Yeah.
mean, to be honest, so this is just me just being open, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that conceived in sin stuck in my head to be always a sexual thing, and it has nothing to do with sex. That conceived, I mean, when God conceived me and I was individually apart from Him, I have to be missing the mark. You cannot define me as any part of God. I'm from God. God made me, but I'm
Right.
not. I'm not a little God. I'm not a demigod.
Mm-hmm.
So in as much as I am even conceived of as an individual, is that first idea of sin. So if when I die and I no longer have this body, and I've declared and chosen the path of life, and I stand before God and I go through the bema seat and the judgment, everything's there, and I'm with God, that separation of me being here no longer exists,
Correct. Yep.
right? I have to have that atonement, and I have to for my sins, which God was taken care of by Jesus on the cross, right? He took up that, He paid for that. So this idea of our original sin, our inherent sin, has to me, very little to do with the fact that I choose to do things like focus on YouTube, focus on something other than God,
Mm-hmm.
right? That type of sin is a category that means I willfully chose to have inward eyes and not outward eyes and keep my eye on the cross. But the sin of my existence, of my being separated from God, is not that. So we can't let, in my mind, letting that original sin be how we answer I'm falling down again. We just need to sit there and say, Lord, help me so that I don't. Help me to repent and see the error of my way and that stronghold, particularly the strongholds I don't want to see, and remove it from my heart so that, what does it say in the Beatitude? Blessed are those who are poor in spirit, meaning that spirit, meaning that I have no sense of self.
Hmm.
And that then we can have the indwelling of God in our heart, and through that lack of indwelling of ourselves, we have enough to give to God to let Him be a part of it. Because it's
Yeah.
blessed when and the emphatic use of that word there is blessed are those who are meek, and those who are weak like that is them, and them alone will have the inheritance.
Hmm.
So I think it's good for us to differentiate between that sin of my being and the sin of my actions.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's always that. We always had that conversation of it being there, because we do continuously fall.
Right.
And I guess it was just an interesting topic with my buddy. We talked about it, but
Okay. Cool. And now we have a great conversation going on here about yo-yo dieting and going back and forth with previous diets and lifestyles that are unsustainable. And I think that is the long pole in this proverbial tent, is that what can you do for forever? Because it's not like we're going to it's not like we can go back to the standard American diet.
yeah, definitely not. I've tried it.
That's good. That's good. So, hey, look, it's been 3 hours. It is 11:41. I
Mm-hmm.
think I'm going to pull the plug and let Bozo get some sleep.
I agree. Sounds good.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on tonight and livening it up and engaging in conversation and showing us that beautiful background there.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah.
Utah, Wyoming has some beautiful landscape.
Yep. This
And
one's hidden up in the mountains.
yeah, and that water looks. I bet in the wintertime it gets pretty windy up there, pretty cold.
Oh, I'm sure it does. Yeah, there's actually a second lake right there above my finger, right there.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's Twin Lakes. So
I can almost make out the line of it. Yeah, yeah,
yep,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's
And I
pretty cool.
appreciate,
Cool place.
yeah, I appreciate everybody in the chat room talking and carrying on conversation that was important to you while we carried on this thing here. I think that's one of the wonderful dynamics here in doing these live type things.
Mm-hmm.
The canned long form videos are important, but in this way, when everybody is engaging with one another, it's pretty awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this was a longer stream for you, wasn't it?
Well, I did a 4-hour one last night with Midnight
Oh, really?
Carnivore. Oh yeah,
Okay.
we got into it. It was good.
Alrighty. Yeah.
All right.
Get to bed.
All right,
Way
y'all
past my
take care.
bedtime, so
Yeah, mine too. We'll try to catch you all tomorrow. I don't want to step on anybody's. If anybody's doing a live and it's like 8:30, I'm not going to come on. If it's 9, we'll see, and we'll try to see about coming on. And tomorrow night is what night of the week? Tomorrow night
Tuesday.
is Tuesday. Yeah, so
We got Bible study
should
tomorrow night.
tomorrow night should be good. So we'll see what happens. Y'all take care. God bless, and again, thank you very much for joining up. Y'all take care and have a
Absolutely.
good night. Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Goodbye.